Here we are with another episode of TCW Behind the Curtain. I'm joined by Cyrus Burns.
Yes.
Thanks for joining me here today.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
Not sure where to start. I've got some questions, but first of all, Cyrus Burns. This name, is this a Con Air thing?
I'd be lying if I said that the Cyrus part didn't come from Con Air.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, entirely true.
Yeah. So, always fan of the bad guys in movies?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Fan of bad guys in wrestling?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Burns part?
The Burns part came from a lot of the original idea for the gimmick was the whole 50s greaser and like hot rods and shit have a bunch of flames on them, right?
Yeah,
and Burns sound cool for
a
surname, so yeah.
So that's where the giant spanner came from?
Definitely, yeah.
Now, was that a real spanner? I can't
that is 100% a real spanner.
I don't think I've seen it in person. How big is that?
That was a 24-inch spanner, so like your regular shifter that you get off the shelf is probably like a 10 or a 12. It's double that. And it took about 18 months after the retirement to actually see some use as a spanner. Dad had to flip the toe ball over and he's like, oh, what's the biggest spanner you've got? And I just look at him, I'm like, I am disappointed.
Do you never pay attention to my wrestling?
You've seen me hit people with this thing.
Yeah.
Of course I've got a large spanner and we can actually use it for
for
what they're meant to be used for, right?
Yes.
Instead of just hitting people.
Triple H with the sledgehammer, do you think he's ever used one to...
for demolition work?
Put in some fence palings or something like that? Or some star pickets?
Knock down a wall. No. I think Cody and the sledge to the throne's about the most use that any wrestling-related sledgehammer has had.
He just needs a hard hat. Well, his dad was a... son of a plumber, maybe he would have used a sledgehammer. Maybe
a pipe wrench. Who knows?
Yeah. So TCW, when did you first join? What was the process of coming along?
So I first came along to Eye for an Eye, which was a show back in 2015. I think it was the one that followed Annihilation 2.
Okay, so very
potentially.
Early.
Really early. Came to a couple of shows, and then at Hardway it was sort of announced at like intermission and at the end of the show, hey, we're doing an open day, come on. So, went and did that. August 1st, 2015, went down to the TCW warehouse and then never really left.
Yeah, still there.
Still there.
Despite not having wrestled for over a year.
Yeah, despite, you're coming up on 2.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Yeah. For some reason, I always think Annihilation's like the middle of the year, but it's only the second one.
It's the first show, right?
It's every February, yeah. So how long did you train before you had your first match? And did you think, were you ready?
God, no, I was not ready. So I'd been training for 5 months, and then I was on had a couple matches at Skyfire when it was a thing that we did. But then my first, actual counts as anything a match was Annihilation 3 against Chris Lockwood.
Yeah.
So the Spine Buster came about that night, and there's a great clip of it circulating around the internet where instead of just dropping him straight on the spot, I basically picked him up and thrown him halfway across the ring because we decided I should do a spine buster for your finish because we're going with a boot and Lockwood's not a short man.
Yeah, okay.
And I was having difficulty maintaining the height on a boot to make it look good. It's like, what else were you thinking of using? So we decided on the day to throw in a spine buster down on the court that you can see here behind us.
Yep.
We used to come in, I think, behind you here, just in the other corner, whereas now there's a lot has changed in close to 7 years.
You're coming in through the...
Used to come in through so where the blue curtain is down here, we now come in close to this window. We used to come in down the other end.
Yeah. Was it on the other side of it?
No, still through the blue curtain, so that was still there for, backstage freakouts. And
I think when I put together like the big history of TCW video, I think I've got your first entrance where you came out with the cut. I think you had the big jacket on.
I did. I had the jacket for a while, and then I started working out a bit, and I became too broad in the shoulders for the big jacket, so I just stopped wearing it.
So did you have the rent or the spanner?
The spanner, that came out of Annihilation 5. Yeah. So I walked into the Albert Hall as TCW champion, and this is the first show in the Albert Hall in like 45 years. Yeah. My dad, my aunt went to see probably that last show that was there right when they were kids, and I've walked in there as a champion after, and that's something like from wrestling that is just surreal to me. So that match, I got eliminated first in a 4-way elimination match, and then pulled the spanner out from under the ring clocked everyone with it. So Obi Cartel, Liam Lacey, and Andy Rhodes.
Yep.
They all got a taste of the steel and walked out, held it up above my head, and thus began the reign of terror.
So you became TCW champion pretty quickly after your first match, was it?
Reasonably quickly.
Was it less than 12 months?
So Annihilation 3 was when I debuted.
Yeah.
Annihilation 4, I won the Rumble, and at that point I hadn't been beaten.
Yeah.
Then we had Aftermath. I lost to Cremator. Then there were a couple more matches that year. I was chasing Diablo, who was champion at the time.
Yep.
So I think that was when we first saw Red Hood. Was in the June then, which I think was Counterattack. Then beginning of the end was back down to this whole year. I ran the gauntlet of Red Hood, Jose Silva, and then Diablo. And then finally in September of 2017 is when I won the TCW Championship.
Yeah, I remember it was the anniversary of that.
Not
September, because I did that video on this day.
Yeah.
So it's a good way of me revisiting things I weren't around for. First, what is that noise?
That noise is the new lighting going up here behind us.
Come down.
So we've got down one of the two.
Bit of a hybrid of a look tonight with the new and old lighting.
We do, yeah. We figured we'd bring one set down and make sure that worked, and then hopefully Annihilation. I think we're pretty happy with how it's gone.
Yeah.
So we'll bring down both sets, and so it's going to be a big night.
How quickly did you... other question first. Did you know anybody from TCW before you joined?
No.
Or you just came down and...
Came down.
Yeah.
Sort of vaguely knew Horsey through, the fact that he was at EB at the time, and I bought a bunch of games, but that's about it, right? Like,
he would have
knew
had long hair
of
or
someone.
Maybe?
Not at that point.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, so knew of someone, and that was about it, yeah.
So what point did you get involved with the production side? You run the music,
sure,
the lights, you got all the computer background?
Sure, so I did a lot of the video editing stuff from around about A4.
Yeah, okay.
So it didn't take me long.
Yeah,
I got all the footage. When it was filmed, it was given to me, and I cut that down and edited it. And then with the sale to Bowen Horsey, I basically got a bunch of cameras, them sort of using for my own purposes as well.
Yeah.
But then, we bring them along, and I just continue to edit them and produce all the media, so DVDs, on demand, all of the promos that we shoot down at the warehouse.
Yeah.
Edit all of them together.
And some of the entrance videos?
Some entrance videos, yeah. They're definitely a more artistic pursuit. So if someone's a lot better at it than me, then by all means go for it. But, if you need a bunch of clips for an entrance video, it's like, can you find me clips where I did this, and this? Yeah, great.
I think this Google Drive thing must be so complicated. There must be so much stuff online between the videos and the photos and for all the different
so
people.
Much. I've got a single 16 terabyte volume, which is a pair of 8 terabyte SSDs that I've got probably about half full at this point of just every piece of footage I think that we've ever shot for TCW.
There'll be a lot of unseen stuff like Chili Skyfire.
Yeah, I've got collections of all of that. So we recorded all of them, and we recorded Summer Beats that we did earlier this year. I've got them. There's always been talk of this whole best of Skyfire DVD.
Yeah.
Because we did for Annihilation 5, I think it was, at the Albert Hall. It was either 5 or 6. There was essentially a show bag. And then there was a best of TCW DVD which had 14 good and or important matches from the time up until then.
Yeah. I was thinking about due for another best of one.
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah. It'd just be all Leo matches. Or if nominate from each person's best matches or something like that.
So we should do what a bunch of other places do with their end of year awards and just vote on a match each year and come out with a top 5 and put that out as a collection.
Do the fan votes and our votes as well.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome if we had a trophy night, kind of end of year presentation night. We've got our Christmas barbecue tomorrow, 50% chance of rain. See how that goes. Hopefully we'll be in luck.
Amazing.
I haven't even looked at my list of questions yet, apart from the first one. How do you deal with getting injured during a match and having to change?
How do you deal with getting injured having changed? So we were in the very fortunate position that it was pretty much sidewalk, which is what I got injured on. And then I think there was 1 or 2 moves spine buster, done.
At the finish line.
We were there, and we're really lucky that wasn't like the first thing that we did in the match. We're like, shit, we've got another 10 minutes that we wanted to get through.
Yeah.
It's the same as forgetting something in a match. It happens, and you're like, okay, cool, what do we do next? And injuries perhaps a bit more severe than that, because you're like, oh fuck, what have I done? You've got to, you panic. 100% you panic. First thing, you're like, what have I done? I can't, okay, right, and you've just got to get that back under control.
Yeah.
And you've really got to talk to the person that you're in the ring with. Like, I say this a lot when I come down to training, is just like how important communication in the ring is. I mean, you posted the fantastic video, of course, when I came down of myself and Ryan both going to lock up and both going to kick each other at the same time, because we didn't communicate, and that was hilarious that we both thought exactly the same thing at exactly the same time. Let's go for a gut kick, and I lost my mind with that. That was just amazing. But that was, again, it was a funny result of no communication. But you can definitely have like super dangerous results of no communication, and recovering from an injury or recovering from a botch or anything is just. You really need to take that minute, calm down, and then communicate. Hey, this has happened. What are we going to do to fix it?
Yeah.
So we did that, and I think the conversation was along the lines of, "Oh, what did it feel like?" I'm like, "Oh, felt like a roll." I'm like, "Yeah, cool." And he's like, "All right, lay there. I'm going to go up." I'm like, "Yeah, cool." So just move, cover me.
Yeah. So you just missed a splash. And
just missed a splash off the top. Yeah.
I think it might have been pretty obvious to the audience, so they were like, wouldn't have been complaints like, oh, that looked dumb, or it's like, oh, we understand this person looks like he's hurt.
It's one of those things. Like, I'd have probably liked...
a certain part of the segment of
a lot of people actually since were just like, oh, we thought you were putting it on.
Okay.
Particularly...
Oh, yeah, playing possum kind of thing.
Yeah, particularly then when I, refused referee's help and walked back out to the back under my own steam. Like, that's... that just feels like this is what the character would do,
that's good
right?
Guy shit.
Yeah.
Were you a good guy at the time?
Were
you champ?
No, I was super deep into that heel run.
Yeah, okay.
So it was just after A6, the first show. So it was Redemption in March, which was just after Annihilation 6. It just started to really get back into it a lot more. That year between A5 and A6 just felt a little off.
Yeah.
Playing heel was great. Going around being angry and hitting people with ranks was great. I had a couple of good matches with Archer, some hard-hitting stuff, and then the chain match.
Yeah.
They were good fun. But really anything else I did that year just felt a bit flat.
Yeah.
And then, had a really good match with Joe Mundy at Annihilation 6. I'm like, okay, I'm really feeling this, like, heel thing going on. And then, same thing with Andy. When I broke my leg, that whole day was just... day. We got to about 4 o'clock, and the computer running all of the sound and the vision was going wrong. We had lights by that point, but they weren't being controlled by the computer, I don't think. That's a bit of a newer thing.
Yeah,
so it started out with just a regular DMX board, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool. We can have colours and do some basic stuff. But like now, we've got full software that says, I'd like to have these lights are red for
stay away from that.
300 milliseconds, and then they're blue for 400. Yeah. And that's all simplified down to just a touch.
I feel like we must be a lot more advanced than a lot of the companies around Australia.
I was talking to Andy about it actually last show when he was down, and he runs a similar thing. So OBS to run the projector, and videos have sound embedded in them, so that's 2 out of 3 things done.
Yeah.
And then I use a piece of software called Q Light Control, which does the lights over DMX. Both of these have API WebSocket type things, so I just wrote a piece of software that sends a command to both of them, assuming that a light scene and an OBS scene have the same name.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, it just plays the match lights, which are just the regular sort of house lights.
I don't know what we'll do without you and Papa Burns, honestly. So I think TCW would struggle in a lot of these aspects. Everyone's like scrambling to do computer courses to how do I write
how do I do this?
API, whatever. What is an API?
What is this? And then learning to do it.
So I was watching TCW early when it first started, but then for all your run until you came back from the injury, I wasn't familiar with you.
Yep.
I remember seeing on the Facebook page that, or maybe I was following you. Was there a Cyrus Burns page?
There was
something that was shared, and I remember seeing you doing, because your ankle was broken, and you're doing like rows on a bench, and you're like,
this
guy's injured.
The old chest supported rows. So I was meant to be doing. I went to the gym, so I just sort of started like seriously lifting. End of 2018.
Yeah.
So I think I was maybe 5 or 6 months in. And then broke my leg. I'm like, okay, cool. We'll just do a bunch of upper body stuff. I got really acquainted with the skier.
Yeah.
As far as cardio, because can't really use the bike, can't really row.
Yeah.
The skier.
You're not really stepping it.
Yeah.
It's
the skiing, you're just standing there in a little bit of knee bend. Like, great time. Did that. Stacked a bunch on a bench. There's a picture. I'm just holding one of my earlier 100 kilo benches. And I've still got the plaster on the leg, so it was within 2 weeks of surgery.
Oh, wow.
I think I had the week.
I'd probably do the same thing.
I think I had the week of the surgery off, and that was about it. Like straight back into it.
Yeah, and so the road back was it. You were definitely going to wrestle again.
I definitely had to come back. It was one of those things. I had to do it. I couldn't just go out on that injury. I had to come back and do it at least once.
Yeah.
Which was cool. I got to give Grayson his first match.
Yep. So you had the 2 with Grayson.
Yep. So then we had one. Then we had 8 months off for COVID again.
Oh yes.
And then I had one again.
Then there was the tag.
There was the tag.
And then was it straight to Annihilation?
And straight to Annihilation. Yeah.
So at which point did you decide you were going to retire?
Probably after the tag.
Yeah.
In and around the tag, I just said to Bob, like, look, I can't keep doing it.
Yeah.
The ankle was too much. So the up and down and the running and stuff was just too much on the ankle.
Yeah, okay.
Around the end of 2020, I started doing a bunch of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And that's cool because I can just lay on my back. I don't need to be like running and up and down and jumping and stuff on an ankle. I can do a bunch of that.
You busted out some crazy thing on me at training.
Oh, the standing knee bar.
I thought it was a roll. Oh, you rolled down and twisted me over or something. It's like, whoa.
It's a knee bar, yeah.
So I thought you might have been trying out some new things for a return. You can just
you
be a ground-based grappler.
Yeah, just lay there. It won't be as much of a spectator sport, I can tell you that right now.
So if you were making a comeback, you wouldn't tell me then?
No plans for a comeback.
How about the decision not to tell the referee that you were losing a retirement match?
How about the referee just counting to 3 like he should? That's the...
Oh, then you might have an incident like Itchy and Katie and Skylar.
Yeah, when they came and yelled at me.
Just yelled at you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that happened.
No, they yelled at me because I was in control of the bell, you see. I'm like, I'm not ringing the bell if the ref's not telling me to ring the bell.
Yeah.
You count it to 3. No, it's... no.
So you just...
There were not many people that knew about that.
Yeah. It must have been...
We'd told everyone downstairs, like, oh, you need to be ready in the tunnel for after this, because it was my career and the beard were on the line. It's like, oh, he's going to run away and you've got to bring him back so we can do the shaving thing. I'm like, yeah, cool. This is going to be great. So then...
So I'm like, okay, so we're going to get a seat into the ring and we'll make sure he doesn't leave. And you had the shaver thing with you. I'm like...
Yeah, it was...
Even when the match was announced, I was just like, oh yeah.
There's no way he's going to retire.
It hadn't even crossed my mind at all.
He just wants to shave his beard. Like, yeah, that's all it was, right? No. Again, like the breaking the ankle thing, it would have been nice if, like, there was one thing in between then that end.
Yeah.
So it was like, did that, broke it, and then Andy went straight up. Would have been nice if there was a do something quick, then goes up.
Yeah, okay.
Hindsight, right?
Yeah.
Similar thing here, so the count didn't happen properly. Probably should have picked me up. Different move.
Yeah.
Then do it, right? It was fine.
But, as the referee, I could play off. It's like, well, I didn't want you to retire. so then Eddie Jones slaps me, and then I just I count to 3, and that was it. And I think people were just more shocked with the result.
I think
so. The referee stuffed up. It's like,
I think so. There was a lot of shock with that result, and like the tunnel, directly below us at the minute, like that was, went back there. I struggled to get through the words on the microphone in the middle of the ring too. It was one of those things too, because Annihilation 8 was, 5 years to the date from Annihilation 3. I'm like, it's difficult to wrestle with the ankle. This is a very nice story of the same date. I can't not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the feeling when you left the ring and you walked through the curtain area, like for the last time? Was there what was the emotion there?
Oh, that was just...
You feel relieved? Feel like you might be walking away from something you're doing?
Yeah, 100%. And, every show day since is still a bit of that. So, I'm here and not doing it.
Yeah.
Every show day.
It's like
you get closer and closer to doors and it's just like, oh, okay,
yeah,
cool.
Like, since my debut, I think there's only been 3 shows, maybe 2 shows, that I haven't actually wrestled on.
Yep.
And I feel like, I'm just kind of here.
Yep.
I was still refereeing at the time, so there hasn't been, since I stopped refereeing. Oh no, yeah, there was the one show where I sat in the audience, the one after Diablo, Annihilation this year, yeah.
Yeah, where of course, no one had actually seen your face at that point, so you could just sit in the crowd and it was fine. You didn't have to, come up here and hide.
Even then you sort of get the FOMO.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then it is nice to have a rest sometimes. I've been on every show since
the Ironman match, Alexander and Lacey's Ironman match.
Yeah.
Last Stand?
Yep, that was
I think
last
it
stand.
was. Yeah. No, it wasn't for that one. There was a show, and we needed a piece of vision from the hard camp. So I had a second camera set next to the hard camp, so I could grab the SD card out and go and get it ready to be put on the screen.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there watching a match like that. I'm like, I don't like sitting here like this. This is no, I don't want to sit here in the crowd. I sort of want to come along and make sure stuff works, and then I just want to disappear backstage. I think is my
I think there was the first one after Annihilation where you sort of you went off in the other court by yourself kind of thing.
Oh, there's been a few days like that. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like leave Cyrus alone.
Usually about the time there's been people looking for me, and I've been in and around behind bleachers and stuff. I just don't want anything to do with it. It's tough.
I reckon. So then, compared to that very first time you walked out for a match,
what
was that? Because you were down there with me, for my debut.
Yeah.
It was you and Charlie standing there. And
Yep.
you're like, "You ready?" I'm like, literally felt like I was going to get thrown out of a plane.
Oh yeah,
It's this is terrible. I don't want to do it.
It is the worst, and for a long time it doesn't go away. I think the first time and the last time were both just okay. This is happening.
Sickening in a different.
The last time knowing that it was the last time and having that bit of a plan, you're like, oh yeah, cool. I've just got to get through this, and particularly with that last match, right? My perhaps favourite spot of any that I've done was the drop down leapfrog. Drop down leapfrog, fucking military press.
It was awesome.
Best spot. Some guys that I work with found out. I'm like, yeah, go and watch it. And they found the highlight reel of that, and they're like, oh, you did that, you jumped over the guy. I'm like, oh, that spot. Well, let me tell you. And so when it's that was the retirement match, and that was the only time I've done that stuff in a match, right?
That was my favourite TCW match of last year, and in the Voices of Wrestling match of the year poll, I was the only person. Me and Itchy were the only people that on there that know what TCW is, but I still gave votes to it. In my top 10 matches.
Yeah, nice.
So I was like, I thought that was just tremendous.
Apart
from the referee. It was fun.
Had a lot of fun with that match though. Trying to put it all together and just remembering how stuff went. We had a sequence in the middle and we're like, okay, we want to do these 5 things. And as it turned out, the way we put it together, they all ran into each other.
Yeah.
It was like, we want to do this, which ends up with you in the corner. And it's like, okay, well, if I'm in the corner, then we can do this, which ends up with someone in the middle on all 4s.
Yep.
And then you can do this. And we had those parts sort of very separately, and we're like, hang on, if we change that around, that just flows. And, when you get a sequence like that, it just flows. It looks really good.
Yeah.
But we didn't wrestle that whole match at pace until the night.
Yeah.
We did little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And it just, put the whole thing together.
Well, for being your last match, I think you'd put your, have your head up high and be proud of that. It was really great.
Yeah, and it's the danger, of course, of a comeback. Is that,
and there's
yeah, it's the danger.
Could I do that again?
Yeah, but then if you do it and you try to and you can't,
it's kind of like the Undertaker thing, isn't it?
Yeah, Undertaker in Saudi. You look at that Goldberg match, it's just like, no.
Yeah. Or I can't think what his last proper great one was. It was after the Shawn Michaels ones. But I think there was a couple of Triple H ones and something, and then
people shit on people shit on the Roman one. And it wasn't perhaps Undertaker's best match, but that match to then end with the hat and the coat in the ring at 33.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good out.
What are we up to now? 38?
30.
Yeah. And then he did a couple more after that still.
39 is coming up.
Yeah. But he hasn't wrestled for a while now.
Again, it's weird. The maths to work all that it is. I go to WrestleMania 20 was in 2004. That's the one point of reference that I know. Yeah. And then I just add and subtract from there. It's.
Yeah. I feel like the Daniel Bryan 30 was a good point, but then I've sort of lost what year that was now.
Yeah, and that's just it. Like if The Undertaker didn't lose to Brock at 30 and only lost to Roman at 33 and then retired after that, that was a good enough match to go out on. Yeah.
Just wait until you start getting that Undertaker money to come back.
Look, someone offers me Undertaker money. Someone offers me Undertaker money to come back.
To do anything,
Then we'll talk.
Yeah. Well, that's all the questions I've prepared. Is there anything else that you want to bring up? Anything from wrestling, from TCW or from TCW otherwise?
History, jeez.
Any tidbits, things that people might not know?
Anything that anyone might not know? Oh.
Tell me anything interesting about yourself. Well, what do you think about the current crop we've got here when you compare to when you first come? What have you seen as a major change over? It was 5 years between your first match and your last match.
Yep.
I can add on another year from then. Obviously, the production's a lot different from.
Yeah, production that we've done, that we've put in place, sort of since Ground Attack, is just amazing. We were talking earlier about we used to run shows just in house lights, and going back and finding that best of DVD that I mentioned before. Like you've got years of shows with just house lights. Yeah. You've got a show at the Albert Hall that has professional lighting stuff because they have all of the truss system in the roof.
Set up there,
Yep, and you just clip whatever lights you want on, and away you go. Then back to regular house light shows, and then we've gone on and.
Was the first one where it had Liam and Archer in that ladder match?
No,
was that the first one back here with the? Or was it right about then?
No, that was after that. So Ground Attack was in 2018. That was after Annihilation 5.
I don't know how you remember the order of them.
Well, I've done all of the DVDs and all of the on-demand, so I've got a bit of an idea about where they all sit. Yeah. And also just the posters on the wall in the warehouse.
I really wish we had the posters for the newer shows.
Oh, it'd be nice, but so that's something mildly interesting at least, is that we lost 2 A-frames in the space of 3 shows. It was no.
So how much do they cost each for the prints?
The posters themselves were somewhere 100 to 150 on that sort of A0 scale. They are all on, I don't know whether it's necessarily metal or acrylic or something, but they're on a decent sort of outside material. They're not just like an Officeworks poster print.
Yeah, okay.
But it's really nice to have them because, tonight's the 52nd TCW show.
I think there's only 3 there after I've debuted, so it's you can look back at everything you've done.
I look back at everything,
and mine would be here somewhere.
I can see the 5 posters for shows that I hadn't seen.
Yeah.
I can see the 3 posters for shows that I was at for a spectator.
Yep.
I then missed the September one, Road to Annihilation. I missed that because I was going away for my anniversary that weekend. And then essentially the one after that was, I think it was... Oh, no, there was Devonport Devastation after that, which was the first Devonport show. No, that was after Annihilation. So I think there's only 6 posters on that wall that I've missed in some capacity, which is... Yeah.
Yeah, I was at the first 2 or 3, and then... Then periodically there's a few I dipped in there. So I didn't really realise that TCW was every second month because they don't publish all the dates at the start of the year or anything.
There was a year where we did that. I think it might have been 2018. It was either 17 or 18. Yeah, we published all of the events, whereas now it's sort of
one ends
and we put the next one up. Yeah. One ends and put the next one up. One ends and put the next one up. And I think that helps reduce a bit of confusion.
Yeah, okay.
Which is certainly a good thing. But essentially every even-numbered month there's a show. Yeah.
Well, I've booked my Japan trip and my wedding and stuff around
it. So you're just I'm going to do September.
Let's do these months because it's a good chance. But, if it clashes, it clashes.
If it clashes,
If it clashes, then I guess I can't get married that day. Cody, if you're watching this.
2 words for you. Wrestling wedding. They always end well.
at the wrestling engagement. So we're halfway there.
Halfway there. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's everything for this interview.
Fantastic.
Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. And we'll have that match one day.
Maybe one day.
Yeah. Maybe. All right.